Great. Well, hi, everybody. I'm going to add my welcome to Janet's welcome. I'm Melissa C. I'm a recovered compulsive overeater. I am in freezing cold New York, but feeling really warm inside to be here tonight. Wouldn't want to be anywhere else. So, welcome to all the people that are new here. It's exciting to have a bunch of new people here. And tonight I'm going to talk about the doctor's opinion and I kind of entitle it, there's a line in there about being a distinct entity. So, I really want to drill down as we're going through the doctor's opinion, what it is that makes us distinct, that sets us apart, as a distinct entity from other people. And before I kind of jump into the topic, I was speaking with someone earlier today and who had shared about, being earlier on in her recovery and really being in that state of chronic morbid obesity and chronic food addiction, really having a struggle and had expressed probably very much the way that I felt, like really, like amazed and hopeful when I saw people that were well, and almost thinking like that'll never happen to me. I remember thinking I have such a long way to go that no way I couldn't even dream that I would reach a point where I was no longer living, with this chronic condition. And so I had shared with the person that I would show my photos. And the reason I like to share and I'm happy that there's new people tonight because it means you probably haven't seen them. And the reason, I always like to share my photos with people because I say, like, I have a visible demonstration of what it means to have an experience with the miraculous. And that is exactly what this program is about. It's about a miracle. And I think, like, my miracle is actually hugely internal. Like, you will never be able to imagine just from looking at pictures what has happened inside me. But for, like, I remember what I was like when I was new, and it was like, show me the evidence that this thing works. I don't really want to hear how much better your life is today too much. I want to see, show me what it looks like. And so that's, kind of like a good entry point for me to share my photos with you. And I'm gonna pull it up, and these are a little bit of a shorter. Hopefully it'll come up. Okay. So these are photos. I have no fellows in these photos. These are like family photos, me and my family pretty much. And, you know, um, this was me in the red. I was having a party in my house that day. I could barely brush my hair. My house was a mess. I was a mess. Everything felt so heavy and so much. And yet I knew I was like entertaining people, and I knew I wanted to be entertaining people, sort of. Um, but that's what it looked like when I kind of put myself together. Like, I couldn't even get myself together at the end. This is me, in the picture next to it's me with my daughter, she's going to be 25 now. I think that was like one of the only garments that fit me at that point. Here are, like, I always like to show side by side photos if possible. So this is my family. This was this summer. Um, and this was, oh gosh, I think it was a number of years ago, probably 14 years ago, 13 or 14 years ago. And you can't see it, but in this picture, I have a boot on my leg because I had run on a treadmill trying to burn off extra food that I had eaten, and I actually broke my foot. After being told by a doctor that I needed to stay off the treadmill because I had an injury, he gave me a cortisone injection and he told me, do not get on that. Do not get on the treadmill again. You have plantar fasciitis. You shouldn't be really running on a treadmill, and you're healing, so don't get on it. But I had eaten, I had binged, and I knew what I had eaten, and I knew this mind was like, I can run it off. I can run it off. And I got on that treadmill and I heard my foot snap. And that is insane. That's what it means to really live with like a chronic condition. And I was powerless to do, I couldn't keep myself from doing those ridiculous things. That's what it felt like then. So in that picture, you couldn't see it, but I had a boot on my foot. Um, these are side by side photos of this was me, my daughter, my husband. And I want to tell you, like, I have a family that loves me. I didn't come upon this disease because I was treated horribly by the people in my life. I mean, some people have that experience, but I'm a compulsive overeater because of the way that I responded, the way that I've reacted to every circumstance in my life. It was always all about me and how am I going to make myself feel better quick. And the food was the thing I used. And this was like a more recent picture of the same little girl, purple hair, same little girl. And this photo was my son was an infant here, and I could barely hold him. Like, I look at this picture and it breaks my heart because I wanted him so badly. I adore this kid. I mean, I still do. And I couldn't hold him comfortably. My arms could barely wrap around because of the size of my body. And if you notice, he's looking down because he was already like wanting to run. And I couldn't keep up with him. I couldn't hold him and I couldn't keep up with him. And that's what it means to be in bondage. Food was my master, and it was a cruel master. It actually like stole my ability to parent the way that I wanted to parent. And that's that same boy. This was him and I like over the summer. And now I can hold him, I can hug him. I can't hold him. I have to reach up real high, but my arms will fit around this guy. Um, this is me and my sister and my sister-in-law's, big drink in hand, food in my pocket, and a resentment. I can see it on my face. I was pissed off at something. I had that fake smile, like, ugh. But being in the company of people who loved me, I was so selfish that that was difficult because I walked around with every single thing that they ever did to me, real or imagined, like right here, and like and I ate through these events. I ate and drank through these events. Um, Here's this picture of me and my mom. Bless you, Janet. This picture of me and my mom. I still had weight to lose, but I was recovered. And you can see it in my face. I was a different person already. And I remembered this particular event. I love this picture because I remember that day. I was like, oh my gosh, when did all these people in my family become so lovable? Like, I remembered feeling, oh, I love them all so much. And it was because God had already been like changing me on the inside. My body just hadn't caught up. And this was a more, couple few years back before my mom had passed, a picture of my mom and I. Um, this is me and that same boy, baby, middle school. I had already been like relieved of my weight, had recovered, and I'm consistently the same size. And me, like more recently. And that's a miracle too. To be the same size year after year after year, never worrying about my summer clothes fitting or my winter clothes fitting. My coat from, 3 years ago, I pull it out and it fits. And this is what it looks like to be set free. I'm My husband and I been married. It's going to be 29 years. We love, we have a good marriage. But I always thought like I liked restaurants. I liked restaurants. I liked to go out to eat, but really food was my master. And it told me what I liked. And today I realized, yeah, restaurants really are kind of boring. I don't really enjoy them. I would much rather be at a music festival, dancing and enjoying good times with my husband. And you know, that is a result of these 12 steps that I am actually free to discover what it is that I enjoy. So those are my photos. I'm going to stop sharing them. And what I love about sharing these is usually what that does is it gives a little more credibility. Because now I'm going to now I'm going to jump in and really kind of talk about what it is that makes me distinct. And I wanted you to see that I have this disease, that I suffered horribly from this disease, but I no longer suffer, right? So let's jump into the doctor's opinion. On XXV, the very first paragraph, it says, convincing testimony must surely come from medical men who have had experience with the sufferings of our members and have witnessed our return to health. Well, I hope that what I just shared with you is a witnessing of my return to health, right? You could see it, and now you could see something different. And, you know, what's convincing is what we see, that it's the great convincer. And I think that's good news for someone like me has had substantial weight loss. I never hide my former pictures. I don't even cringe when I see them anymore. I don't feel shame. I don't feel remorse. I don't feel embarrassment. I don't feel regret. Because for me, that's my entryway to be able to be useful, to show you this is what God did for me, right? This is the miracle that God did for me. That's my testimony. In the second paragraph, there's the letter from Dr. Silkworth. And it says, to whom it may concern. And in my book, I wrote my name there because this letter concerns me. This letter, I like to read it like it was written. It's written to me. I am the concerned party. The third paragraph says, a competent businessman of good earning capacity was an alcoholic of a type I had come to regard as hopeless. So you can be competent, by the way, in your workplace. You can have good earning capacity, and still be hopeless. And I think that especially rings true for many compulsive overeaters. No one ever threatened that they were going to take custody of my kids for my eating. I never got a DWI, right? I never really lost my position. People didn't look at me and think, oh, she's no longer qualified for this job because of her eating. I still had good earning capacity. I still made a living, and yet I was hopeless. And the way I know I was hopeless was I would wake up every morning in agony from what I had done the night before, and I would repeat it again. And I could not seem to get myself out of repeating the same thing over and over and over again. And that felt pretty hopeless, So as part of his rehabilitation, he commenced to present his conceptions to other alcoholics, impressing upon them that they must do likewise with still others. So we are rehabilitated by working with others. And we're actually told that we're to tell the newcomer, impress upon them right away this requirement. So, like, very often, the doctor's opinion is one of the first things that we kind of go through with a sponsee or a potential sponsee. And we're telling them right off the bat, like in one of our first conversations, that they're going to have to help other people. That if they get well as a result of these steps, that this is a 12-step program, not an 11-step program. And working with others is a requirement. It's not just reserved for like special people. It's for anybody who wants to get well and stay well. And, so for me, this is my rehabilitation work. I am still rehabilitating. I think I will always be in a position of rehabilitation. I never want to lose sight of the fact that I have this disease. I am recovered but I am not cured. And my rehabilitation means that I continue to work with other people. It says, I personally know scores of cases who were of the type with whom other methods had failed completely. And I think that's one of the things that makes us a distinct entity. That, you know what? Part of my qualification, part of my requirement for this is I have to have exhausted every other method. I have rarely met a person. I don't know that I've ever actually met a person who came to OA without ever trying anything else. Most of us, by the time we get here, we've tried a lot of other methods. And I usually suggest to people, why don't you make a list of all the methods you've tried? Because what that tells me, when I looked at my list of methods, it told me a couple of things. One, lack of desire was never my problem. I absolutely, some of the lengths that I went through was clearly someone who had a very strong desire to solve this problem. I just couldn't. I didn't know the right solution. So, and it wasn't lack of information, because I was also given, information about what foods were problematic. That wasn't necessarily my problem. Lack of finances, I threw all the money I possibly could at it. So I think those methods are important for me, because once I know that I have tried lots of other things, what I think that begins to do for a person is it sort of makes that the things that they're going to be asked to do not seem so difficult after all. You know, when you've taken medication without even really knowing what it was, but you were desperate, and then you come to find out later it causes heart problems in people. And you've done, right? There are people who have had injections and done all sorts of things. And those methods have failed completely. I think when you're asked, for me, when I was asked to put my food on a scale, by that point I was like, yeah, fine. Okay. And when I was asked to make phone calls, great. Because every other method had failed completely, right? So this is a program for people who have exhausted every other method. And like I said, listing your methods is always a good way to indicate, have you really exhausted everything you've got? Page XXVI, it says you may rely absolutely on anything they say about themselves. And I love that, because let's remember, these were gutter drunks, some of them, who were brought into a hospital, right? And the physician was saying, no, 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 you can trust them. They're going to give you they're going to give you information, and you can trust them. And not only trust them, but you can rely on anything they say about themselves. I mean, the fact that when I tell you things about myself, that I'm not being dishonest about it, that's a pretty powerful testimony that my word is good, you know. Um, the body, now it's going to talk about the body, and the body of the alcoholic is quite as abnormal as his mind. It did not satisfy us to be told that we could not control our drinking just because we were maladjusted to life, that we were in full flight from reality, or were outright mental defectives. But we are sure that our bodies were sickened as well. In our belief, any picture of the alcoholic which leaves out the physical factor is incomplete. The doctor's theory that we have an allergy to alcohol interests us. As laymen, our opinion as to its soundness may, of course, mean little, but as ex-problem drinkers, we can say that this explanation makes good sense. It explains many things for which we cannot otherwise account. So our bodies are abnormal, and so is our minds, right? It says both, right? And if I don't stress the abnormality about my mind, about my body, then I'm neglecting to share crucial information as a sponsor or as a potential sponsor or as a co-fellow. I'm giving the newcomer incomplete information if I don't talk about what happens inside my body. And I am not an allergy specialist, right? I don't have the results of anyone's blood work. I don't have like a blood panel to tell me what it is that I'm allergic to. What I do have is my experience. I have my lifelong experience that every single time I have eaten specific foods, and we all have, there's a wide variety amongst us. There are some common culprits, but there's some variety. And in my experience was every single time I've tried to eat two cookies, that experiment failed. I every single time I have always needed to finish the sleeve, the box, the next box, and then whatever else I could find in the house. And I've had that experience with, you know, there's a lot of foods that are like that for me. I just could never eat them in moderation, no matter what I did, no matter what I did, no matter how many. In fact, every time that I would have specific foods, even if I could temporarily summon up enough willpower to not do it then, it owned real estate in my brain. It was the only thing I thought about. I remembered going to a certain affair, being given something, and that was all there was. So I wasn't getting any more there. But it was the only thing I thought about the rest of the event. And I knew on the way home, I was going to find a place to get more of it. And that's been my experience with food. You know, so allergy is the only thing that makes sense to me. You know, we work at our solution on a spiritual as well as an altruistic plane. We favor hospitalization for the alcoholic who is very jittery, befogged. More often than not, it is imperative that a man's brain be cleared before he is approached, as he has then a better chance of understanding and accepting what we have to offer. And what I get there is that our solution is spiritual and altruistic, that we find God through unselfish acts, that I find my relationship with God as as I give to God's kids, as I try to pour myself out to help other people, is where I start to form my relationship with God. You know, it talks about this idea about hospitalization for the alcoholic who's very jittery and befogged. And I think, and yes, it's imperative. It says that a man's brain be cleared before he's approached. But I think alcohol and food are a little bit different. I think if you're talking about somebody who is drunk, who is falling down drunk, who goes through DTs, yes, they need more time so that they're not drunk. And I know that there are different people who talk about getting X number of days of abstinence before they begin the work. But my truth was, as soon as I made the decision that I was willing to make every effort to put the food down, that I was going to do every effort, and that I was ready to turn my will and my life over to God, to do everything in my power necessary, I didn't need 2 days to put the food down. I really needed like a few minutes. I needed like, okay, I'm not going to binge now. I'm going to put my food down and I'm going to do my best to work this program. And, but this idea about hospitalization, that we're jittery and befogged, I think I never went to a treatment program. I never had to go to an inpatient facility, although there are people who have, right? And but I think for many of us, we can kind of create our own like rehabs and sort of hospital settings, right, in our own homes. And when I kind of view that as is like tight parameters with a lot of support and a lot of structure, a lot of getting rid of outer distractions and really focusing in on what it is that we're doing, And so I would say, like, if at all possible, try not to go on vacation, right? When you're in that early phase of recovery. Try not to take up any brand new hobbies. You're focusing on this getting well period, this hospitalization period. And for me, I needed to stay out of restaurants. I needed to because I had no ability to control and moderate and determine portions, and I wasn't comfortable eating in social situations with, and keeping to my food plan. I needed to stay out of a restaurant. And I sort of think about it like this: nobody would expect an alcoholic to go to a bar, 2 weeks sober. Like, of course not. And I needed to take my disease as seriously as an alcoholic takes their drinking. I mean, after all, we're studying this book. And I want to try to apply some of the same principles, some of the same instructions for myself as well. I take my food addiction very seriously. It was not a joke. I needed to think about this hospitalization period as if I was going for chemotherapy, as if if I were to be recently a diagnosed person with, let's say, a cancer diagnosis. I wouldn't say, well, I was planning on hanging out with my friends, so I'm really not going to be able to make chemo. No, I would have been like, okay, I got to kind of put everything aside and really focus on getting my treatment. And that's how I look about, the hospitalization period and working this program. And I think also, you know, when someone is in a hospital, they're being given care. They're being cared for. They're being like administered to. And I think that's good for us to bear in mind as well. That we have people in our midst, let's say a sponsee, who is brand newly abstinent. We want to treat them with some care, with some compassion, right? With an understanding, kind of a soft touch, not watering down the directions, not minimizing the importance of following the directions, but with some kindness and compassion, giving people some grace. Um, XXVII, it talks about some form of moral psychology was of urgent importance to alcoholics, but its application presented difficulties beyond our conception. What with our ultra modern standards, our scientific approach to everything, we are perhaps not well equipped to apply the powers of good that lie outside our synthetic knowledge. And I read this and I think, okay, I might understand that I'm going to need another moral code, right? And it's going to be different from the way that I've been living before. And I remember thinking earlier on, wait, what? Can't you just give me the diet? And and thankfully, was reminded, you've tried those methods. Remember, you listed them. They failed completely. We're after a personality change here. So we're going to need a new moral psychology. And yet, I couldn't do this with my own intellect. I couldn't just say, all right, I'm going to be better. I'm going to stop doing everything that I did before and I'm just going to be better. I think it's kind of like I knew what healthy eating looked like. I just couldn't do it, right? On my own, I just couldn't do it. And I knew what honesty was. I knew what unselfishness was, but I actually needed God's help. That's what it's telling me here. Like, yes, I can make a decision that I'm going to do everything in my power to be honest and unselfish. And then I'm going to pray like my life depends on it. I'm going to ask God, help me be unselfish. help me be honest, right? Even today, when dishonesty creeps up, right? We say, okay, wait a second, God, help me reset what my principles are, and so I know that I've got morals. And part of my step one understanding was, holy smokes, I can't live within the boundaries of my own morals. Like, I am failing at living within my own morals. I needed a higher power to help me live in agreement with my morals. The addict knows right from wrong. They just can't abide it. They just can't seem to abide it. Lack of knowledge, again, was not my dilemma. Lack of power is. I need to have God's help in all of it. On XXVII, it talks about the unselfishness of these men as we have come to know them. The entire absence of profit motive and their community spirit is indeed inspiring to one who has labored long and wearily in this alcoholic field. They believe in themselves and still more in the power which pulls chronic alcoholics back from the gates of death. So, unselfishness, entire absence of profit motive, community spirit, I'd say those are the characteristics of fellows and of good meetings, right? A good meeting, a good group of fellows, a fellowship, there's no profit. No one's asking you for a dime. There's a community spirit, which is like why we encourage one another to call, to put your name in the chat box, to put your number. We want to meet you. We want to introduce one another because we want to have a community spirit. Um, you know, while that, why are we working so hard to help others? Why is that? Because we believe in ourselves, but even more in the power that saved our lives. And I want to tell you that I was pulled back from the gates of death. When I read this, sometimes I read things in here and I'm like, oh, that's so melodramatic. That's Bill's poetic language. That's not in this case. Like, I know I was pulled back from the gates of death. I had dangerously high blood pressure. I needed to have a hysterectomy, and they did not want to operate on me because of my blood pressure. By the time they got my blood pressure under control enough, I needed 2 transfusions because that's how sick I was. I was having like heart palpitations. I would snore myself awake, because of my breathing was so bad. I was like gasping for air in the middle of the night. My doctor told me I was not going to make it out of my 40s if my numbers did not change drastically. I believe that I was pulled back from the gates of death. And, and who pulled me back from the gates of death? God. God. I was pulled back by a power. I believe in myself, but even more, I believe in the power that pulled me back from the gates of death. And that's why I'm here. That's why I'm doing this work. That's why I believe in it. Because if it can happen for me, I know that it can happen for anybody. I couldn't stop eating. And I feel like I turned the page and God picked me up and he put me in a brand new book. That's what happened for me, was pulled back from the gates of death. So of course, an alcoholic, it says, ought to be freed from his physical craving for liquor. And this often requires a definite hospital procedure before psychological measures can be of maximum benefit. So again, they're mentioning this hospitalization. And, and that I want to kind of stress again, hospitals don't leave their patients alone to suffer. They don't say, okay, well, here you are in your bed. I'll see you when you're better. They assist them. And in order for me to find God, I had to do everything in my power. I might not have been able to do it on my own power, but I had to at least be willing, for me, I had to be willing to tell another adult what I was going to eat every day. I had to be willing to say, you know what? I'll bring my scale. I'll weigh my food. I'll do whatever you ask. And then God came in, and I think God saw my willingness as an entry point. And he offered me the assistance that I needed. On XXV, it says the action of alcohol on these chronic alcoholics is a manifestation of an allergy, that the phenomenon of craving is limited to this class and never occurs in the average temperate drinker. These allergic types can never safely use alcohol in any form at all. And once having formed the habit and found they cannot break it, once having lost their self-confidence, their reliance upon things human, their problems pile up on them and become astonishingly difficult to solve. So the phenomenon of craving, it's limited to this class, and it doesn't occur in the average temperate drinker, average temperate eater. So average temperate eaters, I think about it like temperature, right? When it's temperate. Sometimes, right, in North Carolina right now, Janet, it's a temperate climate. Sometimes it gets cold and then it gets really hot. But there's a variation. It's not one extreme or the other. And I think like average temperate eaters can overeat sometimes, but they don't continue once they're truly full, they don't continue. I've been with people at Thanksgiving, at Christmas, at birthdays, on vacations, and they overeat and they go, oh gosh. And they sit back from the table. They might even unbutton their pants, but they're actually done. When I reach that point, I'm just getting started. My physical discomfort has never been enough to get me to stop. In fact, my allergic response is not just to food, it's to overeating. This is overeaters, right? I'm an overeater, which for me is why I can't just say I won't eat these foods. For me, I also have to say I need to have portions, because I will overeat and I will trigger the same response as if I ate a candy bar. That's my truth. So average temperate eaters, they don't have this problem. They they can go out with their friends. They can share a piece of cake at the end of the meal, and they can actually leave some of that cake over. Four people, I've watched four friends share one piece of cake, and there's still frosting left on the plate. And it's not because they're using willpower to keep themselves from eating the rest of the cake. It's because they lost interest, because they've reached a point and they've had their fill. It's like they get their spot hit. They go, that hit the spot. But for me, when I eat, my desire for more increases, right? Average temperate eaters, each bite they take, the desire for more decreases. I eat, the desire for more increases. And I say it like this: I have a spot that can't be hit. When I eat certain foods in certain ways, I never walk away and say, that was good. I have always continued right on until I reach the point where I am sick. And what it tells me is that I can't treat food the way that normal people can, right? If I'm thirsty and I pour myself a nice glass of water and I begin to drink it, I don't need to call upon willpower to keep me from finishing the glass of ice water and to keep me from getting more and more water that's in the water cooler. I get satisfied. My thirst is quenched. I'm good. I don't need any more water. And this is the way I think that normal people experience food. I have to say that it is now being recovered. It is the way that I experience food on my food plan in its portion. I have it and I'm done. I'm good. I don't get the desire to finish it. You know, I think identifying our difficult foods and the behaviors is something that is always best done with, it's not something that I generally do on meetings with other people because it's kind of a private kind of conversation that we have with our sponsors. And I sort of go about it like this. If you're in doubt, why don't you leave it out? If it's something you think you may have a problem with, don't eat it, right? And then like we can re-examine it when you're recovered and we could see was this too severe or was it indeed something that you did need to leave out. Um, at this point, because I know we have 10 minutes left, and the next point is a next point that I don't want to shortchange on. So we're gonna stop and we'll continue next time.